With Easter comes fancy eggs. Welcome to Up All Night DIY. I'm Monica. Thanks for joining me. Tonight is the Can't Sleep Creations Spring and Easter edition. This is a quarterly collaboration hosted by Annie of Crafting with Annie Jones, Dawn of Shabby Meets Bling, and me. Hi. This is our late night crafting party. I'm so glad you're here. I'm making this adorable Humpty Dumpty. Let's get into it. I'm so excited, you guys, because I finally got a new scroll saw. So I designed this Humpty Dumpty, gave him a couple of arms, a couple of dangly legs. I cut him from a 1/4 inch MDF, and he's ready to paint. So first things first, we're going to base coat his face and his hands with Ceramcoat white. And, going out of my comfort zone a little bit, I decided to do him in all pastels. Because after all, it's Easter, spring, and I know a lot of people love pastels. I generally don't decorate with pastels, but, always nice to try something new. So we're going to do 2 coats of each color. And of course, we want to make sure that we get the sides too. Now, I know I've mentioned this before, but for most of my characters, I like to have them either wearing sneakers or spats. This guy, since he's all fancy, is getting a pair of spats. And I'm going to give them 2 coats of white as well. I'm going to give his collar and the cuffs of his sleeves 2 coats of natural buff, which is an Americana color. It's a really pretty, kind of peachy color, very soft. His hat is getting 2 coats of Americana Spa. This is a very light blue. Again, just really pastel, soft, springy color. Very pretty. This could even be a lovely color for a baby's nursery. And I'm giving his shoes 2 coats of that spa blue as well. I gotta tell you, I was really on the fence. I was originally thinking I was going to do him in black and white because just recently I've started to switch over all my Easter decorations to black and white, like within the last 2 years, I'd say. I know most people are doing neutrals, and now I am seeing a lot more pastels and even some of the brighter colors. So I figured, why not pastel? Okay, so the lower half of his body, his shirt or jacket, whatever, is Americana Pistachio Mint. Again, really soft, lovely spring green. I'm also going to do his arms and his legs, his sleeves, and his pant legs with this Pistachio Mint. I almost forgot his hat band. That too gets 2 coats of the Pistachio Mint. So now that everything is base coated, I've pulled out my floating medium and we're going to do a wee bit of shading. I'm going to dip my brush into the clear gel, which is the floating medium, get a nice healthy coat on there, and then I'm going to side load with Hydrangea Pink. That's a Ceramcoat color. Again, super soft pink, very spring-like. And now we'll stroke it on the plate to blend the medium with the paint. This is going to give us a soft fade, kind of like an ombre effect. So the first thing I'm doing is his cheeks. I'm holding my flat brush with the paint corner to the edge of his cheeks, and I'm just going to hold that at a 90-degree angle and float right around. I let the bristles spread and do the job for me. To me, this is the easiest way to create almost a perfectly concentric circle. Almost. I'm not sure if you can see, I actually lightly drew out his features in a light blue pencil. So I'm keeping my brush kind of in the center and just rotating it around so that most of the darker color is on the outside edge of his cheek. And this is a lot easier than you might think. It just takes a little bit of practice, but anybody can do this. I'll load my 00 detail brush with some of that Hydrangea pink and add his smile. And now I'm going to have his mouth open here so it's like a wide U. And I'm going to take a flat brush and fill that in. Once again with my 00 detail brush and rain gray, I'm going to fill in his eyes. And you know, I like to think of his eyes as a capital D that fell on its back. And if it helps, turn your project sideways, paint it in just as if you were painting in the letter D. It makes it so much easier. So now I'm doing his wee nose and then his other eye. I'll come back with a flat brush and fill in the center of his eyes. He'll get lashes and eyebrows, also in rain gray. I'm going to pounce on with Tahiti Blue. They're called tattered Harlequin. You know, I love my Harlequin. And what I did is masked off the area above and below the hat band. So first I pounced on Tahiti Blue. Now I'm using some GP Purple to just kind of, you know, pounce a little over it, bring some of that color in. See? Now I'm going to repeat that stencil pattern on the bottom half of his body. Again, I masked off his collar so I wouldn't, you know, accidentally get any of the Harlequin on his collar. I'm going to quickly hit that with my heat gun so I can once again add some of that GP Purple over top of the Tahiti Blue. I'm doing this ever so lightly. I don't want it to overtake the Tahiti, I just wanted to enhance it. Now I'll do my best to line it up, and I'll continue on the other side. I love this stencil. I love it so much I have it in a small version and I have a large version too. It's meant to look like it's, you know, old tattered Harlequin pattern. So hitting it again with the heat gun and once again pouncing on some of that GP Purple. There are a couple spaces that are open in the pattern and that's because it's supposed to look, you know, very vintage. But I'm going to come back in and fill in those spots with the diamond shapes because I just think it needs it. You know what I'm saying? There we go. Done and done. For his collar, I'm going to use this scrolly, leafy, viney stencil. And again, it's Tahiti Blue with the GP Purple overlay. And I think you can see that, once again, I masked off the areas above and below the collar. And I just used cardstock to mask those areas off. I'm using the larger scroll for the top of his hat. And again, everything's masked off that I don't want to get paint on. On both his arms and his legs, I'm just going to come right down the center with Tahiti Blue and give it a single stripe. I'll float down one side of that stripe with GP Purple. This is to bring in that color for consistency. Now that we have all our patterns in place, I'm going to float very gently around his face and his hands with Ceramcoat Drizzle Gray. It's a very soft gray. So I think it goes with the pastels really nicely. I reload my brush both with paint and or medium as needed, and I'm keeping my strokes very light and feathery. Shading adds a whole additional element to the painting. I really love the way it looks. It almost has an airbrushed effect. Okay, let's do his hands now. And I'm just going to go along his cuff there and then down the one side. So tell me guys, what's your Easter palette? Do you do the pastels? Do you do neutrals? Or are you more for those bright, bold colors? When my kids were little, of course I did the bright because, you know, little kids, they love all that. And I'm lucky enough to have some pieces from when I was a kid that were my mom's. So they have that mid-century vibe to them, those little plastic egg cups and whatnot. If I get a chance, I'll show you guys. Okay, so now I'm coming in here with my second layer of floating, and this is in the Spa Blue. So I'm kind of going alongside the drizzle. I'm not really going over top of it. It's more just inside it. And that's just to enhance. And you know, I love to add layers to my shading. So the first layer for the hat, anything blue, is going to be with the Tahiti Blue. Again, loaded my brush the same way, dipped it in the medium, then side loaded with the Tahiti Blue, stroked it on my plate to get the fade. Now, as I mentioned, I like to do several layers of float and shading, whichever you'd like to call it. That's just what I do. Maybe you just like the one color, or maybe you just like it as is. You know, do you. Whatever blows your hair back, then that's what you want to do. Okay, now I'm coming along this collar. Again, this is with the Tahiti Blue. I think I'm just going to kind of add Tahiti Blue all along. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. You know, it's just whatever strikes me at the time. I kind of get wrapped up in the project as in the middle of it. It is, I think that's why I like painting so much, because you're in the moment. It's got that Zen thing about it. You know what I'm saying? And now everything I do on the main part of him, I'll do on his arms and legs as well. I didn't bother to do a pattern on his cuffs because, you know, they're so little. I just figured, once the shading goes on, you won't even notice. My second layer of shading or float is going to be the GP Purple. So this is a softer color, so it's more like a highlight really. And again, I'm going just inside the Tahiti Blue. I don't want to cover it, I want to enhance it. Everything I do in the main part of the egg, I will repeat on his arms and legs. To highlight his eyes, I'm going to add a little triangle up here in the center of, the main part of his eye. And I'm filling that in with white. I thought, let's mix it up instead of the regular old white dot highlight. Not that there's anything wrong with the white dot highlight. I surely love it. But just for a wee change. I've left a little extra water in my liner brush here. Nice long bristles. And I'm dipping it into the rain gray. And I'm going to lightly outline this guy. Just all along the edge, I'm going to add a nice wee faint outline. I really felt that the outline was necessary because the colors are so soft. This way, I think it makes him stand out more. You feel me? Now here I'm going to paint in a wee bit of a detail to his spats. I'll get that line down the center of the boot where the buttons are, and we'll dip that on the buttons. Again, this is all in rain gray. I'm just using the back of the paintbrush to make my buttons. Now wait, there's more. We're going to use some chunky pink glitter to highlight his cheeks and boop right in the center of his nose. Boop. Okay, so I just used the Hydrangea pink and the back of a dauber to dot on those highlights and fill them in with that chunky pink. Look how pretty. Now, I also want to add some chunky blue glitter. So I'm using Mod Podge and I'm just loosely outlining the detail work and filling it in with the glitter. How pretty. I mean, this guy's really dandy, so he needs a little sparkle, don't you think? And I'm going to do some on his collar there. And I'm also going to do a little bit of sparkle right down the center of the lines on his arms and his legs. And once I get all the glitter on, I'm going to spray these pieces with clear matte sealer. Keeps the glitter from shedding and gives it a nice finished look. I'll drill some holes so we can attach a hanger and attach his arms and legs. I've made myself a little hanger, which I'm going to push right through that hole at the very top. I have an embellishments video that I'll include down below in the description box. Shows you how to make the hanger. I'm going to attach his arms. I'm going to add a wee curl to the wire because I want the wire to show. So I'll curl it around his hand. I'll push it through the hole on him. And then I'm going to curl it around to close it off. Well, you'll see. Same deal for his legs. This is another embellishment you can find in my video for embellishments. It's a little paper medallion. I actually had this made previously. I just added the ribbons and I'm using 3-in-1 glue to attach to his head. And our fancy old Humpty Dumpty is finished. What do you think? Here's a final look. I do really like him for Easter, but I gotta tell you, I think he would be perfect for a baby's room. I hope you liked today's project. It was really nice to just do a straight up painting project. It's been a while. Please be sure to check out Dawn and Annie's channels, which will be linked in the description box, along with the playlist and a list of my supplies. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. Stay creative, my friends. Thanks for hanging with me. See you next time. Up all night with Monica.